Hello, it's Keith here, and this is lesson 21 of the Suck Hunt series, and today we're going to be wrapping up the MSX2 version of the game. We're going to look at the final parts of the code today. We'll be going over the last of the title screen, we'll be looking at the main loop as well, and we'll be seeing how all of that works. So let's go over to the source code and let's take a look. Over the source code we go. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're just resetting the stack pointer every time the game starts, clearing the screen, blacking out the screen so the user doesn't see what's happening. We're then loading the correct palette for the title, and we're using the show title routine. Now the palette will either be the correct one for the 3D mode or a special one which effectively disables one of the eyes of the title screen. Now the title screen is 16 color, you can see it there, but if I press the 3 button here it changes to 2D, but that's still a 16 color image, but 12 of the colors have basically been rendered irrelevant by this special palette. That's how we're doing it. It saves having two versions of the title screen graphic. So that's what we're doing there. Now this is the code that handles the title screen. First we're showing the title screen here, and then we're setting the correct palette. We're then showing the high score here, and we are also showing the key mode. Now there's various ways we can control this game: keyboard, mouse, joystick, and so we're showing the currently selected one there. If we're playing the speech, then we're going to do that here. We pause for a while for the music to get to the correct point, and then we play the Operation Suck message with Chibi Wave, which is something I covered in the platform specific series. It's a sound sample player, so that's what we're doing there. We're then playing the title song here, and we're then going to do the title sequence. Now we are using BC as a counter. After a long period we will actually play the introduction again, but what we're really doing here is we're checking various keys for the various option toggles. So the K key will change the key mode. We're toggling between keyboard, mouse and joystick. We're doing that here and showing the new key mode if required. The C key will change the 3D color mode if we have 3D enabled. If I re-enable 3D here and press C, you can see we're toggling the three color options here. So that's what we're doing there. And we're also we've got the option for the 3D change, and we're just toggling that there. We can only turn 3D off or on in the game. We can change the depth, but because the 3D effect here is actually in the bitmap, it's a 16 color bitmap, it's kind of pre-rendered if you will, so we can't change the depth. We can only turn it on or off here. So that's what we're doing. There is another option to start the game in what's known as hard mode. Very simple. We just start at level 128. We'll set the accumulator there. If we're in hard mode, we just jump here by pressing H. If the player has pressed fire, then we are just going to start in normal mode, which is level 0. So we're setting the level to 0 there, and that's the start of the game. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to set the song for the main game. So we're starting that main game song there, and then what we're doing here is we're resetting the game variables so that they are correct for a new game. We've just got those as a template that we transfer in. We've then got some routines that we run as the start of every level. We do the init level, which sets all of the objects for the screen. We draw the screen. The screen will currently be black, so the player won't see that, and then we do a fade in so that the player can see our wonderful screen. This is now our main loop that happens repeatedly during the gameplay. So we're reading in from the mouse or other input routines. The read mouse routine has a patch that will simulate the mouse input for the non-mouse, the cursors and the joystick. It's the easiest way to support multiple systems, I've found. So here we're updating the sound effects. The game uses Arcos Tracker for music, but it uses Chibi Sound for sound effects. The reason for that was I was originally planning to port this to systems that don't support Arcos Tracker, but it took far too long and it was far too complex. So unfortunately, I'm not doing that. But I'm making a little game called Suck Shoot, which is a very simple version for some of the other systems, just as a little bonus. But anyway, what we're doing next is we're checking for the P key. This is the pause. So if the P key is pressed, we stop the music. We've got a delay here just for wait for them to release the pause key, and then we wait for the P key to be pressed again, and then we continue the game. So that's what we're doing there. Now the game allows us to reload the magazine to refill our bullets by either pressing the right mouse second fire or space, because some systems don't have a second fire, so just in case they're using a single fire joystick, they can press space as well. So we're checking that there and running the reload routine if they've pressed it. What we also have is the ability to change the mouse speed, because the mouse, depending on how you play and how you prefer things, you might want a different speed. So we can toggle that with the C key for cursor. So we're loading in from the 4 possible move speeds here, and we're reading in a 16-bit value here, which is used by the mouse routine, and we're writing the new move speed here. We're pre-calculating it, basically calculating one of the 4 offsets, and we've got a set of 4 template move speeds here that allow us to select the different speeds. What we've got after that is the palette option, which is effectively the 3D glasses we're using. So this will toggle the 3 kinds of 3D glasses. We also have the 3D option. This will change the stereoscopic depth. If we have very strong eyes or a very small screen, we can make the depth greater, and that makes a more painful 3D effect, but a more impressive 3D effect. But we can also turn it off. So we're just checking here, and if necessary, we will turn the 3D off there. Now, after this point, we've now checked all of the keys we're going to check, so we've now got the main loop routine. So we're updating a 16-bit value known as the tick, and this is the game ticks that define when objects should move. So objects will be defined to update every 10th tick, every 5th tick, something like that. And so this tick is basically instrumental on how fast the game plays, and the objects will respond to more ticks in the later levels, making the game faster. That's how that works. But the first thing we need to do is actually update those objects. So the sprite array is everything on the screen, and the data count is the maximum number of objects. And what we do is we process each of those objects with the animate sprite IY routine, and this is multi-platform code that handles the movement of objects, including background objects, and the collision detection, and also the animation of frames and things, and also checking if the player's been hurt. So we are doing all of that. We are then moving to the next object, ready for the next loop. But the first thing we're going to do is every 7 objects here, we are going to want to update the mouse cursor, because maybe all of those objects have magically moved at the same time, and when we next update our mouse, otherwise it will be quite jerky, which is not nice for a mouse cursor. So we are making sure by doing a few extra reads here every few sprites. What we're doing next is we're checking the tick, and we're going to check for the minigun, the chibi gun as I call it, which is an automatic weapon. So if the tick is 1 in 16 here, and fire is held, and the current gun is the chibi gun, then we're going to fire the bullets. So that's the automatic fire option there. We have another reload option here for fire button 2. These variables, fire 2 and fire held, these are set by the mouse routine, so those are set for us. If the reload is done, then we're just doing that there. And then what we're doing is we're checking the main fire button, fire 1 here, and if fire 1 is pressed, we're clearing it and we're firing a bullet. So that's how we handle that. Finally, we're updating the cursor position again here, and we're looping back and showing it all again. And that's all we're going to be covering for the source code to Suck Hunt. So that's the end of the MSX2 version. The MSX2 version, the gameplay code is mostly the same as the other systems. The big problem was the sprite routine code that I covered in the first of the MSX lessons. As I say, you can go to my website, download the source code, download the game, and have fun with the game, and have fun hopefully with the source code as well. If you like what you've seen and you want to support me making more games like this in the future, you can back me on Patreon. You can see all of my very kind Patreon backers there. That really helps me out. Of course, you can also buy my book from Amazon, Learn Multi-Platform Assembly with Chibi Akamas. Covers Z86, 502, 68000, 8086 and ARM. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to do so. You can also, if you're a crazy person, buy a Suck Hunt t-shirt like the amazing one I'm wearing here. Teespring store is down in the link somewhere, I'm sure. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this today. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.